I like this one. There was a guy, I believe his podcast. Hold on, I'm about to be able to see the name of his podcast. I'm gonna shout it out. He's asking the question: should Black Americans still claim Africans?
I have a question.
All right, now, Dr. Ken Harris, and it's on, I believe the podcast is called The Truth. I'm just saying.
Should Black people claim Africans? And of course, I'm here for you to prove me wrong. My experience historically has been that Africans pretty much look down on Black Americans. People try to say it's those elite Africans. It's pretty much most of them. I wouldn't necessarily call it racism, but
it's their culture.
We disagree about a lot of things in terms of ethnicity, the Black diaspora, what it means to a person to be a continental African.
Oh yeah, give them, if you can't, okay, I appreciate that, Josh. Let them know. Let them know for me. I would love to do that. I'll pop up.
Versus an African American. I see four ways that we are disconnected. One, cultural misunderstandings. Number one. Number two, the African community is a very insular community. You're either in or you're out, or you're married to somebody that's African and you're in. Otherwise, it's pretty closed. Then there are just stereotypes and biases. Some of what I'm saying is stereotypical. Some of what I'm saying is biased. I freely admit that.
This is totally different cultures.
I believe the problem is that when Africans from the continent look at us, they disparage us. We're looked down upon.
We do,
And I don't understand why we even care. But at some point, we need to start to look at, are we going to be Black Americans or African Americans?
Neither one.
Is it time to move away from claiming Africa? I don't know if it's the thing that we need to continue to do.
No, I agree. We should not continue. I 100% agree with this. We should discontinue associating ourselves with something that we are not. We are indigenous to this landmass, using that terminology in the sense of, or for the sake of the definition. We are primordial to this landmass. This is our motherland, right here. We didn't have the same culture as they do. We could go down the list. Yes, we may share similarities in certain points, but that does not mean that we are the same people. We are not the same people. Okay? Keep in mind, the out of Africa theory is just that. It's a theory that has never been proven, and it's 2025. 2025. That still has not been proven for a fact. But that's why I'm more, and I'm going to play, I got more videos because more and more, and I'm so glad, thank the creator, thank our ancestors, thank our own people for finally stepping up and claiming who they are now, because they know it to be true, because that was passed down by your elders, of your family members. In certain cases, it was ignored. Okay, I'm not saying for all of you guys, but in some cases, that part was ignored. But we can all recall making fun of each other by saying, aha, that's why you're an African booty scratcher. I never understood what that was, but I knew it was derogatory. If you get called an African booty scratcher, like, I never understood that. Like, wait a minute. Why? Like, why are we saying that? But it was always derogatory, right? We never really looked up to them. At least when I was in school, we weren't looking up to Africans. Now, when they started doing the blackity black, that was back in the 60s, 1962 to be exact is when it first started. And then 1964 is when it started taking off. As far as the so-called Black Power movement, we made a mistake. We started latching onto a culture that wasn't even ours. But that was purposely done, so we won't pay attention to what happened over here. Once you become aware of what happened to your own individual family, the picture's going to be painted for you perfectly clear as to what took place. Yes, everything was stolen by way of manipulation inside of the schools, because we all have been indoctrinated with the exact same lies this entire time. We just never critically thought about it, because that's not what the institutions are there for. They're trying to institutionalize their curriculum to go in their favor to make you a better worker. To what degree are you a better worker? That's why you're going to get degrees in colleges and universities? To what degree have you developed to become a better worker? This whole thing was about trade and commerce. They were fighting over the trade and commerce, handing those jobs to the poor whites that were coming over here. And remember, I showed you the videos how they were still poor coming over here, even when they were migrating. And I'm talking about whites. The real slaves were them, technically, but they tried to flip it on us and say, nah, slavery started existing in America since 1619, right? But then they tell you only 2 or 3 people came. Oh, and then all of a sudden everybody else populated? Well, how come they were documented? How come they were duly documented? The first slaves to arrive in Virginia. You got their names, but you don't got nobody else's. How do you know they were the first? No cell phone, no GPS, no computer, no internet. How do you know they were the first? Because they weren't. We were already here. Think about that. Why would they come from a totally different landmass, migrate over here, then go back to a totally different landmass, capture people from that landmass, and then come right back over here when this landmass was already populated? The only way you would go capture somebody is if you won a war. And this is where the pan goofies get stuck at, because they never tell you what war took place in order for that to take place. For the transatlantic slave trade to happen the way that they're stating that it happened, a war would have to happen. In order for you to become a slave, you will be a prisoner of a war. What war took place in Africa? None. Even the Africans that are coming over here will tell you that. They like, what war? What slave trade? They don't know what you're talking about until they learn it in your schools and they regurgitate that same information. That's the only time. Besides that, they like, wait, I mean, if anything, they over here trying to kill us with pins and needles. Like, you know what I'm saying? And look how everybody fell for the fact that they said that the Europeans came over here with a cloth. Listen to that bull crap story they gave us. They came over here with a cloth and everybody died from a disease that was being carried on that same cloth all across America. Stop that, y'all. Stop it. A cloth wiped out a whole species? Like, stop playing. Like, what? How? That cloth wouldn't have made it across the seas. Why? Because it's treacherous weather conditions. If you traveled across the seas the way you claim you did, by way of the Atlantic. On a sailboat, you didn't have a motor. That means that your ship, was relying on sails to go across the stream. Like, that doesn't make sense. You on a wooden boat, you barely could steer it, and you mean to tell me you were able to keep a cloth that carried the disease fine for 90 plus days to travel from Europe to America, get rid of everybody by this one cloth, and y'all didn't die? Oh, so y'all were immune to that same disease? Somebody lying. Somebody lying. Because if that was the case, how come everybody got COVID? Oh, never mind. Never mind. Okay, yeah, it was airborne. No, it wasn't airborne. But why'd they make us wear a mask if it wasn't airborne? They feeding you indoctrination. Yeah, they said the cloth, blankets. They did say that. But think about that. Oh, I was about to say something real mean. I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm glad I caught myself right there. I was about to say something real mean. I'm gonna leave it alone. Cause somebody in trouble. And it ain't me. Look, matter of fact, I'm gonna doll it up what I was about to say right there. You ain't worried about that cloth when you coming to go see that female. You going behind that woman that you already got, and you going to go see that other female. You ain't worried about that cloth then, are you? You don't know if she made that, switch them sheets out the night before, the day of, huh? Sheets, blankets, cloth. What you mean? She got a man that she just met up in that bed and ain't changed them sheets. You ain't dead, are you? Oh, okay. But they killed off the so-called Native Americans somehow with a blanket. Yeah, okay. That's very hard to believe. All right, now, this next video is, let me see. While we on the topic of Africans, this one is saying, hold up, I'm trying to grab it. This one is saying, okay, this guy's explaining that they import Africans. Okay, here we go. So they import Africans from Africa today, so they don't have to hire so-called Black Americans.
African Americans in a very interesting way, which is actually
I've been told
both
you that,
universities and the corporate employers are literally, this is true, they literally import Africans so that they don't have to hire African Americans. Because they still count as Black. There's a great story. The thing that woke me up to this,
see, because they still count as Black. I told y'all, this is, okay, two things. This is the reason why we're not getting reparations, because you're saying that Black Americans are owed reparations, and they're not. There was no such thing as Black for a people at the time of slavery. There was no such thing as Black for the people, referring to the people during the time of slavery. That's number one. Number two, when you say Black, the foreigners will insert themselves into the conversation. They feel as though they should be a part of the equation. Why? Because Black was never defined as a status for us only. That was never determined. I keep telling people this. That was purposely done to confuse you. Don't forget, it went from Negro to Black. So before that, they had to create a new Negro. Remember, I told you that they created the new Negro first. It went from the old Negro to the new Negro during the Harlem Renaissance. The Harlem Renaissance movement was literally called the New Negro Movement. It wasn't even called the Harlem Renaissance until later. It was the New Negro Movement. It was about what they were doing. They were bringing in foreigners from other countries, blending them in to create the new Negro by way of arts and entertainment. And it didn't just happen in Harlem, but it was escalating in Harlem because our people were prospering in Harlem. And remember when I showed you in the documentary, all those new foreigners that were coming in, they needed some property. They needed some places to live. Okay? And they basically took over Manhattan and said, hey, y'all can keep Harlem. We'll give you a speck of Harlem. That documentary is up on my channel already, full-fledged. I'm talking about where I'm narrating. It's not a game. In fact, I went over it again because do I have a part 2 or something like that? I think it's a part 2. But I went over it during the live stream as well. They did that on purpose. And they doing it again with the term Black. And they doing it again with the term Black. Keep in mind, where was the Africans during Jim Crow? Look, where was the Africans during the Black Power movement? Where were the Africans during the Civil Rights movement? Huh? I dare you. Where were they? They came later. They came later. I told you that. They weren't here. Even the Africans told you they came later.
Harvard.
It's not a game.
Harvard admits, Black students, but which ones? Back when the New York Times could talk about these things honestly. And it quoted actually Henry Louis Gates and Lonnie Guinier at the time at Harvard Law School, basically observing that African Americans were not benefiting from affirmative action because Harvard had figured out that they could import Nigerians.
CG.
Yes, hold on. But I'm a little upset that he cut that off. Not only Nigerians, but it was people from Congo, and it was people from Ghana. It was Nigerians, Congo, and the Ghananese. I don't know what they're called, but the people from Ghana that they were importing and mixing them in with other foreigners, giving them jobs, letting them know that they could expedite their green card or their citizenship rather if they joined the military. That's why you saw a lot of them join the military, because they'll expedite it. Within 5 years, they'll become a citizen. Within 5 years. So as soon as they basically finish basic training, they're a citizen. Now, I'm just simplifying things, I'm just saying this is still to this day. So they were easily able to replace you. They were easily able to walk over the issues that you have because they're not considered black by way of the census. They only want to use the term black when it's beneficial to them, only. And the only time the term black will be beneficial to them is when they want to fit in with you so they can take from your culture, take from your heritage, take from your traditions, take from your practices, take from your beliefs, take from what you love, take from your hobbies, take from your ideas, take from your language, take from your men, take from your women, but it's mainly money, okay? So they can send it back to their own families. Now, can you blame them? No, because they don't have that type of lifestyle where they're from. So of course they're there to take care of their families. This is not a game. But you just got to recognize that we shouldn't be putting each other together as if we're one. Remember when y'all guys be like, hey, we need to unify? Right, I agree with you, but you got to understand that we need to be unifying with the right people. Not everybody should be unified. Only the right people should be unified together. Yeah, you got to know that. There's going to be some people out there that ain't going to have your best interests in mind. Right? And you got to call it for what it is. You can't just sit up there and say, all right, I'm going to let that slide. Matter of fact, come on with us. We need more numbers. No, it don't work like that. You can't get anything done if you allowing infiltration immediately. Just because that's your brother, that's your sister, by way of skin tone, not nothing else. All skin folk ain't kinfolk. Let that be a real thing for real. Let that be a real thing for real. Take that literally. All skin folk ain't your kinfolk. They are not like us. They literally did not go through what we went through. And we built America. And these foreigners are the ones that they're not giving us our props. So since they took from us, what you think it's time for us to do to them? Okay? You got to break them Deuteronomy curses and stop claiming that them Deuteronomy verses are for you. That's not to instruct you on how you should be living your life. You understand what I'm saying? That's to inform you that somebody put something on you to haunt you every day of your life so you won't live it to the fullest. Nah. You disassociate yourself with those verses, curses. That ain't got nothing to do with you. Who died and made them king? We still here. So I'm still waiting on the name of the person that died. Because everybody got to die someday. But if we actually lost, we wouldn't be here still to this day. In large numbers, by the way. They couldn't wipe us. That's impossible. You can't wipe the chosen people. We were chosen to be here, to start civilizations off throughout the world, especially America. It ain't over with, y'all.
We've been
it's just
this
getting
the whole
started,
time.
though.
We've been trying to say this the whole time, and everybody and their grandma was gaslighting us, acting like we don't know what the fuck we're talking about, bro. Y'all got 24 hours to respond to this shit, and you better not be gaslighting, bro, because this is what they've been doing, bro. They've been doing this shit, all right? Since they can't be racist and shit like that, they're like, oh, well, we can at least discriminate against ethnicities and stuff. So we're in this new age movement where, like, listen, we delineate. They're not the same as us.
Wait a minute, brother. What you think racism is? they are going to discriminate against who you are. See, there's a difference between prejudice and racism. Prejudice is when you bigging up your own race. Racism is when you have hate for other races. So of course they're going to discriminate against your ethnicity. Don't try to separate it as if it's not the same thing. No, they're one and the same. That's what racism is about. We don't need their validation. And that's another thing, y'all. Stop looking for other people's validation. You don't need other people's validation to have peace. You don't need other people's validation to have greatness, have joy, have prosperity. You don't need that. Have love. You don't need other people's validation to have love. How about that? But let's rewind that back to the beginning part where I just said you don't need other people's validation to have peace. Listen, peace is the aftermath of a war. You gotta go through a battle to have peace. You ready? You see what this spiritual warfare is now? This is right in front of you. This is a war that's happening now. You understand what I'm saying? The only way that we can take control over this and win and have peace is if we want it, goddammit. You gotta want it. Now, if you one of them type that give up, oh no, this is too much, move out of our way. We don't need you. It's a fight. It's a fight. You gotta be war ready. Especially when you're on the front line.
Can't bunch them in with us because they're still racially like us, but they're not part of the same ethnic group. So y'all not gonna try to do that trick bag. They thought they had a trick bag with us. We not doing it no more.
Nah. In other words, we not falling for it no more. I agree with that part. Our people are not falling for the gimmick. They not falling for the trick, like how he said, the okie doke. We not falling for it no more. And I'm so proud of my people, man. For that reason, I'm proud of them. Thank y'all. Thank y'all.
You from Louisiana.